date is May 4th, 2016. Bad employment numbers out of ADP. What does it mean? Is it going to get even worse? And here to discuss, the one and only Andrew Hoffman. Andy, good morning.
Is it?
As good as it's gonna get.
I just finished writing an article called "Rooting for Armageddon," which we'll get into in a second, because I was quite insulted by someone in our community acting as if we are rooting for the worst things to happen, when all we're rooting for is free markets and frankly for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But yeah, you're talking about the ADP employment report came out today. Absolutely horrible, much worse than expected, which just means that the NFP will double and triple up their seasonal and birth death adjustments on Friday so it can get 200,000 jobs reported, because, of course, it's an election year. And just like in 2012, when it was found out that they were fabricating numbers in front of the election, I'm sure they'll do the same thing today or this year.
Yeah, you think?
Yes, yeah. Of course. And, again, it's, we're sitting here watching historic manipulations of markets, and particularly precious metals, as they break out in a bull market. And the commercials, the COTs, the powers that be are so desperate to prevent it from happening. In fact, I was writing yesterday, it's incredible about how the commercial short position, which is, the cartel in silver, is the most it's ever been in history. And yet they're doing it with silver at $17 an ounce. It's not like when they were doing it back in 2011 when it was surging up to $50 an ounce. That's how scared they are of what's going on, of the shortages that are going to destroy them, that they're going this crazy trying to short silver at $17 an ounce. And the same goes for gold. They have never, ever shorted this much gold in this short amount of time. And we're at $1,200, not $1,900. So again, to me, everything is falling apart around the powers that be. No one's talking about how now, commodities are crashing again. Stocks around the world are starting to crash again. Treasury yields are plummeting toward their lows again. The currency markets are all over the place. It's because everything is falling apart right now, and they're doing everything in their power to kick the can against a wall that they've already reached.
Yeah, that's it. They've reached the wall. And yeah, when these numbers, we knew that at some point they were going to start to sink, right? Because they've been held up artificially all these years. And once they start to sink, what do? They're just going to lie about the statistics and try to cover it up?
Well, yes, they are. The thing is, though, that they have been sinking. And again, it goes back to propaganda. Just keep saying recovery. The data is the worst it's ever been. It's the worst. I wrote back in October, I wrote an article called "The Worst Global Economy of Our Lifetimes." Things are so much worse across the world in every data point imaginable. Everything is negative, recessionary, falling apart. And yet we still talk about supporting data. The only data that's still, quote, supported is the unemployment numbers, which everyone knows who has half a brain that they completely are fabricated and have no semblance of reality. And now the employment numbers are falling too. And yes, the NFP report, they can change it to make it whatever they want. But today's ADP report, which is just as cooked as the NFP report, was an unmitigated disaster. And eventually the BLS report, even if they try to manipulate it higher, is going to be completely discredited as well. So it won't be long before even the discredited massively goose numbers that still remain fall as well.
Yeah, well, it was always inevitable, right?
Yes, it's called mathematics. That's what happens when you have too much debt put on around the world. There's too much overcapacity as a result of all that debt. There's an inability for governments and individuals and municipalities and pension funds, you name it, to service that debt. It's like, we're looking at Puerto Rico that just defaulted this week. We're looking at pension funds that are now defaulting. I'm reading the other day about UPS, the United Parcel Service. They were guaranteeing that their pension funds wouldn't be cut, the benefits. So now they have to pay for the shortfall to the tune of $3.5 billion. The point is, everyone owes too much money, and it can never ever be paid for. Which is why you're going to see the Fed rejoin the QE party. Shortly. They're going to have to join shortly, which is why the dollar has been falling again, even against the euro and the yen, despite their central banks trying to destroy the currencies, because everyone knows that QE to infinity is going to be upon the world shortly, which of course is going to have its own unintended negative ramifications, such as hyperinflation. And in the case of, I wrote an article the other day called The Myth of QE to Infinity, because what it means is you have to buy up everything. And that's exactly what's happened in Japan. They now own all of the stocks and all of the bonds. So pretty soon we're going to have a communist world where the QE means that the government owns everything, which is only going to make things that much worse. So again, I'm on fire today because I'm just so angry at some of the things that I've seen around me in the last few weeks and months. But the inevitability has never been more powerful, which is why, I can't scream more that we are in a bull market in precious metals. And for those people in the parts of the world where you can still buy it, let alone at subsidized levels like here, do it already before the governments come in and finish off what's left of your hard-earned savings.
And that they will do, right? Just a matter of time till they do it. They're in the process of doing it now, correct?
Yes. The negative interest rates and the war on cash is the most insidious thing I've ever seen in my career. You can't even make this stuff up. And again, remember, that whole war on cash started back when the markets were falling back in January and February. And then I wrote, when they goose the markets back up, I just wrote a few weeks ago, I wrote something called Where There's Smoke, meaning, look, they talked about this stuff, doing it back when markets were falling. So I guarantee you, when they're falling again, you're going to see it again. Well, guess what? Markets are falling again. And now you're seeing the calls for negative interest rates and monetization and QE again and again. I wrote yesterday about, Charles Schwab, where I keep my money, where they're now sweeping customer funds into government money market funds because they can no longer find investments that have yield. And so again, you're going to have your money stolen from you, whether it's by inflation, whether it's by negative interest rates, whether it's by a cashless society. It's an absolute guarantee that all of these things are coming, and they're going to come with a complete parallel as markets continue to fall apart, which they will, because economies are going to fall apart, political systems are going to fall apart, social systems, everything is coming at us like a runaway train right now. And it's amazing that anyone would believe that there's any other possible outcome.
Yeah, shocking. It's just shocking. And, we've been talking about this stuff for years. We knew exactly what was going to happen, just a question of when. And, man, the China thing, though, is really the top of my mind, because they're really the 800-pound gorilla in the room, and they don't have a clue what to do. They're just inflating away and creating new money. Created $1 trillion last quarter, and I'm sure there's derivatives behind all that money they created as well.
The headline of Yahoo Finance yesterday, and I'm sorry I'm rambling just because I'm just a little out of control this morning. The headline in Yahoo Finance yesterday is, this is the top propagandist lackey out there, was something like, 500 trillion of new China debt and the defaults that are coming. This is what you're seeing from the mainstream now. Just like I saw at CNBC the other day, something like the Fed would be crazy to raise rates. And it's like, whoa, this is CNBC with Steve Leisman, who's trying to tell us there's a recovery all the time and that the Fed's going to raise rates. Everyone, the rats are all jumping ship right now. Everyone knows that it's stupid to purport recovery. It's stupid to purport that markets are undervalued because you're going to get your head handed to you. This is like 2008, 1,000 times worse what is coming. There is no way out of it. There is no way to print money and save things. The only thing that the governments can do right now is going to be to hyperinflate and nationalize, which will bring a whole new set of problems. And I think the fact that Donald Trump essentially won the nomination yesterday when Ted Cruz came, it just shows you the path that the world is headed, where these dangerous demagogues and extremists from all different callings of life are going to start to take over, and you're going to lose all semblance of democracy and capitalism. It's a scary world that we're headed into right now, and that's why I took particularly exception at this article the other day. I won't even name the person who said it. Talking about how gold bugs are rooting for Armageddon. No, gold bugs are rooting for our investments to go higher, just like anyone else. If I were rooting, by the way, it's okay to root for treasury bonds, right? Well, if treasury bonds are already trading at zero or negative yields around the world, and I'm rooting for them to surge higher, that means I'm rooting for massively negative yields and hyperinflation and government nationalization. Is that good? Should I root for $150 oil like we got just before the 2008 crisis? Should I root for Valiant Pharmaceuticals to go up so that they can raise prices on people who desperately need drugs? I mean, what investment should I be rooting for that would be socially acceptable to traders and analysts around the world?
That's a great point. There's two sides of every trade, and the point isn't the trade, it's that the market in whatever commodity or instrument we're talking about is done freely, voluntarily, with the players, at least in theory, having equal information or the ability to get it. And clearly we don't have anything like that now. So how can they be saying, well, this market is basically evil, but our market is really great and honest and trading?
Hey, if gold weren't suppressed for all these years, we would never have these problems.
Yeah.
What if I was if you say I was rooting for it in the 1990s, would that have been good? Would I have been rooting for Armageddon? No, I've been rooting for it all along. I take it back. I'm not rooting for anything. I invested in it because it's undervalued, period. Mm-hmm. And should I short it? Will that be good for society? I mean, look, people, we're not, this is not about investments. This is simply about financial survival. This is about economic survival for people around the world. And I really don't care about anything other than my family and friends, and hopefully care of this blog that I've been blessed to be able to do, some other people that I don't know, to help them get through what is going to be the most difficult times that the world has known in generations.
Yeah, so true. So true. And for some reason, they want to shield the masses in a veil of ignorance, but ignorance at this point is not your friend. It's going to really come back and bite you and really cause major damage to you, your family, and your community, and everyone you know. The best chance we all have is by keeping it together and staying solvent and trying to hold on while the rest of the world does what it's going to do.
That's right. And, as the final line in my article today was about how it's not like me rooting for gold to go up is going to change the market, especially because it's a rigged market. Economic Mother Nature will take care of that. The markets will go where they need to go. And whether I want gold to be $5,000 or not, it's going to go there. And it's probably going to go a lot higher than that. And you know what? It probably will be during very, very difficult times. But hey, at least I'll have a shot at surviving and maybe even, God forbid, thriving in this world where I'm only going to be around for, 50 or 100 years out of 10 trillion years that it's going to be in existence. My existence on this world isn't going to change much. I'm just trying to make the best of it. That's all.
Well, that's all anyone is trying to do. But if you don't know what the real story is, it's real hard to figure out what you do about it. And I think that's the situation that we're in now, Andy. Hey, statistics be damned. There's I can't remember who said it. There's liars, and then there's statistics,
Yeah. Is it Keynes who said that?
Liars, damn liars, and statistics. I believe that was Keynes. And, there was a lot of negative stuff that he did, but everything that's being done now in the name of Keynes, I don't believe was in his plans here. I don't agree with his theories, but what's going on now is something way, way beyond Keynesian.
Well, essentially, his theory is that the government should be involved in all aspects of finance. And the problem is that historically, governments destroy all aspects of finance. And, that's exactly what's happening now. Only this time around, it's based on a global fiat currency standard in which there is nowhere to escape except for physical precious metals, which, by the way, was the only place to escape in all the historical destruction of economies and currencies.
Absolutely. You're spot on there. We'll leave it at that. So check out Andy's work over at milesfranklin.com. Check out the replay of our event that took place almost 2 weeks ago in Fort Lauderdale. It was an amazing event, even though the sound and video quality wasn't top-notch during parts of it. We've gotten amazing feedback. It's over on YouTube. You can find a link on my site, financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Andy, we will talk to you next week.
Yes, and by the way, people remember the next Q&A event for Miles Franklin is in Houston on May 20th, as the other ones are. It will be free, so please email me, ahoffman@milesfranklin.com if you'd like to go.
Yeah, highly recommended. Andy, next week.
Look forward.